final circuit. We feared there may be heavy rain, as there was this time on Thursday and Friday. There are clouds in the sky, but there is sun on the circuit. We are set for a fantastic 1 hour of racing this afternoon, and the story is really bring it on. But first, let's take a look at what went on 1 month ago at Sepang in the opening round.
Look for the Mercedes on the left-hand side of the screen, 99 on the windscreen, almost kissing the pit wall, going past the two Absolute Racing Porsches that started on the front row. Jan Bo in the middle of the pack, and Satyan Thirikul trying to go around the outside, but up the inside was going Daryl O'Young. He was determined to take that lead, and up he did from 5th to 3rd. Discussions on the pit wall. Do you bring them in for wet weather tyres, or do you leave them out? Making moves. Well, a little bit unfortunate there, the 999 Audi given a bit of a push. Porsche 2x2, 3x3, that's how we like our racing. Bodywork damage on the 97 Mercedes, but it was to work its way up to 2nd place before the pit stops. Brilliant run by MG Choi. Was going to hand over to Gabriele Piana, but the pit lane, when those cars all came in for their pit stops at the same time, went absolutely crazy. There was no space for them. But right now, the story of the race in the second half was the chase of Alessio Picariello and the 88 Mercedes, looking to make a move, and as they came up on the GT4 class leader, made the move up into turn 9, a bit of a kiss as well for Gabriele Piana. So the Belgian racer around the outside into the lead of the race. He wasn't to lose out. This was a battle that just kept on giving. Jazeman Jafar in the 888 Mercedes eventually getting past Chris van der Drift's Porsche. That was 5th place overall, but no answers for the pace of Alessio Picariello. And around the outside, it was Alex Imperatori in the 918 Porsche who had just enough momentum to move ahead of poleman Dennis Olsen. Matthias Besch tucking in behind for Modena Motorsports in number 16, turn 4. Besch sweeping around the outside, and Philipp Hamprecht up into 4th place. So it's 4 Porsches in the first 4 positions. There is His Royal Highness, the King of Malaysia, watching the action, and I'm sure enjoying it very much indeed. The car that was chasing the Porsches was Jazeman Jafar's Mercedes, and then just before he was due to come in to make a pit stop, Jazeman Jafar rotating, half rotating if you will, up at turn 4, lost 10, maybe a dozen positions. Handed over to his new teammate, the Prince of Johor, Jeffrey Ibrahim, who also had a moment. This is Ibrahim going through the gravel at turn 15, but the battle for the lead was the one that just enthralled, and here was the pass for the move shortly before the end of the race. We had 911 going ahead of 918, or more to the point, Satyan Thirikul going ahead of his compatriot Intra Fuvasak. Nervous moments for both of the crews. They watched from their pit garages, but 918 would carry on pushing. 911 would be looking for GT4 cars to put between him and his compatriot, bouncing over the curbs there. Close as he got, fighting his way all the way to the end of the race. Intra Fuvasak just couldn't close enough to make a passing manoeuvre. So coming up to take the checkered flag, and the first win of their campaign, 911, Satyan Thirikul and Philipp Hamprecht.
Well, that was wonderful. All-action racing at Sepang. Will it be a similar story today? But one thing, a lot of Thai drivers looking for the honours, because certainly with a first win for Satyan Thirikul at Sepang, he's desperately keen to do it here on home ground. And Claire Jedrek caught up with the Thai drivers ahead of their home event.
I'm here with Prita from Racing Spirit. Now, Prita, tell us, is there any pressure? You're the only Thai driver in the GT4.
Well, I have a good partner. Man Kong is good driver, so therefore I think we have some pace in the wet, especially. My partner never been on the car before, so it's his first time, and he's doing some good lap time in the dry, 147s, and in the wet we managed to do 159s, so not bad.
Circuit is like my hometown, but I didn't race in Thailand for 2 years, so it's a little bit new to me. But then I think the condition is still the same. In the dry, the car is very stable, the torque and everything is fine. In the rain, it's very fast. In the rain, the aero and everything else, I think it's matched with the track.
Overall, everything feel good at the moment, and I think if it's still this condition tomorrow, we will be fine. We will be fine.
Is there significance because you're kind of on home ground in Thailand?
Well, it's more of the pressure. Yeah, but well, everybody expect me to do well, but I think everyone knows the track here as much as me. So, well, I will do my best. The Porsche is, of course, always good in the rain, but you know, when you say it's rain in Buriram, it's very strange. So something new for everyone. It's not like, you know, it's our home race and then everybody get advantage out of it. So we'll see.
It always be like this. The weather forecast says it's like the summer storm gonna come in like a few weeks ago, but it never come. But apparently it's arrived now. So I think we should be fine. We will be fine.
In terms of the car and the setup and the driving, as compared to the other manufacturers, how do you think the Porsche are going to do if it stays wet?
I think we would be good. We will be good. Because everyone kind of say the Porsche is kind of good in the rain. So we see.
Well, certainly two drivers on great form at the moment. Vutikon Intrafuvasak and Tanat Sathan Thiriakul. But let's go down and catch the driver who's going to be starting from pole position, because Claire just now is catching up with Daryl O'Young down on the grid.
Hi, Daryl, you got your work cut out for you today. You've got 3 Porsche GT3Rs behind you. What are your thoughts?
Well, of course, it's going to be a tough race ahead. The cars behind are pushing hard. We also have our 5-second penalty from the last race, the success penalty. So, yeah, a lot of work to do, but we're going to push hard. And, of course, usually pole position is a good place to start. Mercedes AMG has given us a great car, so we're going to push as hard as we can.
And you've got a 5-second penalty gap that you've got to try and build up this time around.
Yeah, that's with us, of course. You know, it's good to have podiums, but the downside it comes with the next race comes with some penalties. But no, that's for everybody, and we're going to push hard as we can.
Brilliant, thank you, Daryl.
Well done for catching up, and don't forget last race, the opening round at Sepang, Daryl O'Young was like a rocket off the grid and was determined to take the lead at the opening corner, passed about 4 cars and did precisely that. Will he do the same? But certainly turn 1, a very tricky corner here at the Chang International Circuit. It's a sharpish right-hander, and many drivers have been pinged for going out beyond the white line on the edge of the circuit. I think 14 drivers in the GT3 classes had their best laps removed from them, some many times over, some even 3 times they did that for going out beyond the white lines. Turn 1 is a problem. There you can see the white line around the outside of the circuit. Get 2 wheels on the blue paint on the outside, it's fine. Get all 4 wheels beyond the white line at the edge of the circuit, and you will start incurring the wrath of the race steward. So all the drivers down on the grid are thinking about that turn 1, and Claire's caught up with a driver who's new to the championship this weekend, Philippe Descombes, and he's starting alongside on the outside of the front row in the open road racing Porsche. He's with Claire.
Hello, right now we are with Philippe Descombes. You guys are second on the grid. Now, let's talk a little bit about the reclassification. Has this changed things up for you, strategy-wise?
Yeah, I think the condition will be very hard this afternoon. I am for a steady race with consistency. I think many things can happen in the first corner, but it's always hard to predict. But after, it's just going to be 30 minutes of consistency, basically.
Brilliant. Good luck, Philippe.
So there we are, little reclassification, because in fact last year, at the end of last year, 2018 into 19, Philippe won the Asian Le Mans Series GT Cup class, and certainly this morning was very impressive, really adapting to that open road racing Porsche. The grid is starting to be cleared. The good news, it's dry. You can see umbrellas down there to keep the heat off the driver's head, but beforehand the local drivers in particular, seem to understand what weather may be approaching. But on Thursday, heavy rain and wind. Yes, extremely heavy rain, but without the wind at this point in the afternoon. I think we may get away with it. But don't forget, this opening race is 1 hour. Tomorrow's race is 1 hour. But the big difference is tomorrow's race starts at 11:45. So the traditional post-lunch deluge of this time of year may be avoided tomorrow. I'll tell you what, one of the features this year, it used to be called Blancpain GT World Series Asia. Now it's Blancpain GT World Challenge Asia, and that runs alongside Blancpain GT World Challenge Americas and GT World Challenge Europe. And the manufacturers, Ferrari and Mercedes, have nominated 4 drivers in each of those championships to score points. Let's take a look. In the American Championship, it's Colin Brown, Ryan Dalziel, David Askew and George Kurtz. Their colleagues in Europe, Raffaele Marciello, Luca Stoltz, Thomas Neubauer, Hotshot, and Jean-Luc Bobelic. Over here in Asia, Roloff Bruins, Christina Nilsson, Juvai and Jeffrey Lee. There they are, the 12 drivers who can score points towards Mercedes World Challenge tally. And Ferrari, likewise, Tony Villander, Matt Plum, Martin Fuentes and Chris Gagnazzi in the American Series. Andrea Bertolini, David Perel, Rinat Salikov and Louis Mashiels across the board in Europe. Rio Haryanto, Yuya Sakamoto, David Russell and David Chipto Biantoro. They're the 12 drivers who score the points for Ferrari. But let's have a points comparison between those two manufacturers. At the moment, the tally, 3,670 for Mercedes, 2,122 for Ferrari. So Ferrari, a lot of catching up to do. But, of course, it's not the Mercedes on pole that's going to be scoring those points, because neither Darrell O'Young, who'll be starting from pole position, he can't score the points, but his teammate, Christina Nilsson, can. So it's her interest to really go on in the second half of the race. 24 GT3 runners at the front of the grid, or the first 12 rows of the grid, and then the final 3 rows for the 6 runners in GT4 class. 8 Thai drivers, 3 Thai teams, 2 teams new to the championship this weekend. Year on year, this is the 3rd year of racing in Asia with Blancpain. And looking at the grid, the names as you run down, the teams getting better and better, the presentation better and better. Everything's becoming more professional. GT3, such a fun category to go racing in. We have the silver class cars, which are those with drivers who are both silver ranked. Then you've got Pro-Am, which is a pro who's a silver, and a bronze as the amateur element of that class. We had the reclassification of Philippe Descombe, who's joining Francis Gier, so they're on the outside of the front row. There we are, it's the blue Porsche closer to the pit wall. Then you have amateur lineups, so we trophies for all of the top 3 finishers in each of those categories, and then likewise the GT4 at the back. Those are all amateur driver lineups in GT4. But certainly looking at the very sharp end of the grid, it's a silver lineup. Darrell O'Young and Christina Nilsson on pole. There's a good view of the open road racing Porsche. Philippe Descombe and Francis Chier. Second row, the absolute racing Porsches. Really watch out for them. If it's raining, those Porsches do seem mighty. Wan Bo will be starting in 9.12. 9.11, closer to us, is Tanart Sathen Thirikul. It's still dry. Look out, you can see those fine weather clouds, and good news, they appear to be fine weather clouds, but what's behind the main grandstand, I cannot tell you, because that's often the direction from which the rain arrives. But the good thing is, looking around the circuit, the flags are pretty limp at the moment, so hopefully no wind coming in. What I can guarantee, it's hot and it's humid down there, and that certainly will make life very tough indeed for the drivers. 1 hour of racing, 2 drivers per car. The first pit stop, the pit stop window opens after 25 minutes and it runs for 10 minutes. In that time, the drivers must all make their driver changes. Whether they go early in the pit stop window or late, it depends how the driver's getting on, what the traffic is like around them. But right now, for all the drivers on the grid, all 30 of them, they're focused on how they're going to get through turn 1, little kink at turn 2, and then the double apex hairpin at turn 3. It's going to be very, very tight indeed. Dry track, Mercedes and Porsche on the front row. Let's see who comes out on top. The lights go green and the drivers kick off onto their formation lap. It's looking strong for Porsche with four cars in the top 6 positions, an Audi and Mercedes, but it's the Mercedes on pole. Let's take a look. Darrell O'Young for Craft Bamboo Racing on pole. Philippe Descombe, Open Road Racing in his Porsche alongside, new to the championship and really making quite a splash. Go to row 2, you can see the 2 absolute racing Porsches, 9.12 and 9.11. That's Wan Bo in the best place of the local Thai drivers, Tanart Sathen Thirikul. So impressive. at Sepang a month ago when the season kicked off. Wear and tan for Audi on the right-hand side of the grid. Vuittegård Nither another tyre who was really fighting for honours. They are really, really coming on strong. And Roloff Brewing's like a reborn driver in 2019, and the best placed Ferrari, Yuya Sakamoto, very impressive for Hub Also Corsa. New teammate for him this weekend. More of that anon. Piti Virembakti, let's have a little look back. We should be able to see him. His car's distinctive. It's orange, it's got blue flashes. It's the one and only McLaren 720S. He's starting ninth, and Alex Au in the best place of the Lamborghinis. The white one with the yellow and blue of Vincenzo Sospiri Racing. Then David Wan Chen and Burit Bumbakti form row number 6. Jeffrey Lee, Craft Bamboo Racing's got a really quick teammate. They're on pole for the second race. Alessio Picariello will take over. And David Chipto Biantoro, the T2 Motorsports Ferrari. They form row 7. Row 8, ARN Racing, Hiroaki Nagai and Daniel Bilski, Be Quick Racing. They're finding lots of form at Be Quick Racing in their first season in the championship. Chao Li, JRM Porsche, and Shonsawat Asavahami, Vatana Motorsports, the only Thai team that's new to the GT3 class this weekend with their Lamborghini. Then the Prince of Johor, he likes to be raced, Jeffrey Ibrahim. He'll be starting the 888 Engineering Mercedes from 19th on the grid. Tucked in behind, Jan Stone Racing, Mercedes Jouvai, John Shen, Modena Motorsports, and then the final GT3 runners will be on row number 12. Andrew McPherson for AMAC Motorsport, he's a Lamborghini, and Daniel Lau, and I missed out the car in 20th place, which is Sun Jingsu. Then Takayuki Kinoshita starting on pole in the GT4 class. Brian Lee alongside, that's the metallic Mercedes in blue. Then Frank Hugh going well this weekend. Setiawan Santoso, the final row. Angelo Negro joining the championship this weekend in the second of the Team iRace win. Mercedes and Mongkong Sathian Thiracal. So we've got 2 Sathian Thiracals in the race, but at the sharp end, it's Darrell O'Young coming down into that final corner. He will be on the right-hand side of the grid from the driver's point of view, on the outside of the front row. We've got Philippe Descombes, new territory for open road racing. Looking out, the lights are all red on the start gantry. They've been held a long time. It's such a tight final corner. Waiting. When it's red, get a go to green. Will we have another rocket start from pole? Not necessarily. It's 3 abreast, 4 abreast behind. And it looks as though number 918 is starting to make the moves. Vuittegård Nither around the outside, out beyond the circuit. And likewise, 910, I think, was a little bit wide. But certainly for Darrell O'Young, second meeting running. He's taken that pole position, turned it into the lead of the race, but he's challenged the 2 Porsches, really trying to get in on the action. But 911, Tanat Sathian Thiracal, is in front, but he's on the outside line. Is he going to lose a place because the 918's coming up? But as long as Darrell O'Young can hold his line coming out, he'll be in front, except with his nose edging ahead by going over the curbs on the exit of turn 3. Tanat Sathian Thiracal was not to be denied. Really good exit from turn 1. That allowed him to get the power down. A little bit of a slipstream off Darrell O'Young. But as they come up to turn 4 for the first time, O'Young's a little bit wide. Sathian Thiracal pulling another second or a fraction of a second further clear. And now O'Young being challenged around the outside, but a bit of a fumble there. Going backwards at the moment, it's Philippe Descombes, good in qualifying. But now you see the first 2 have made a break, that stumble, a challenge for third place. And third trying to go to second from 912, which is Wan Bo. All went wrong. He went off the track a little bit, and it's got everyone else behind off the tail of the lead 2, so dream start for Darrell O'Young until he got to turn 3, and then he was passed by Tanat Sathian Thiracal, so all changing at the front end of the field. Great start for Sathian Thiracal. He's getting used to that life at the very sharp end of the grid. 4.55 kilometres nearly completed, because when they get to the line up ahead, the start-finish line, that is lap 1 completed. It's Porsche from Mercedes, from Porsche from Mercedes. A good start for number 97. Has gone from 7th to 5th. So Roloff Bruins, racing under the nickname of MG Choi this year, is just getting better and better. So 2 places gained for him. Philippe Descombes, he has moved back to 4th place overall. So started second, going 4th. No disgrace in that. There's car number 21. There's Descombes. People who lost out there, we had number 910 coming forwards and then going backwards. In fact, Chao Li, he's just simply coming forward. He's gained 5 or 6 places. But out front, those first 2, they've got a gap. They've got a buffer of about 1 3/4 seconds from their little scrap back to the best of the rest, which is Wan Bo in the 912 Porsche. But by dint of being every bit as tough at the start through the first 3 corners, and particularly at turn 3, as Darrell O'Young was at the start in the first race in Sepang. We have the Porsche in front and the Craft Bamboo Racing in behind. You can see a lot of cars running wide out of turn 7 over the curb. In the background, they're behaving a bit better towards the tail of the field. Little battle, 9-10 of Chao Li, getting a bit muscled out. He gained loads of positions, now he's handing a whole lot back again. Started down at 17th, so he's got as far as 9th. Looks like he's fallen back to 11th, so busy times. This is fast moving, almost at the end of their second lap. Race leading duo going through, no change. Safi and Thirikul from O'Young. That final corner so tight, you can see Chao Li gained all these places. Now he's handing them back again from 17th to 9th, and now he's back down to 12th. Very busy. Blink, did you miss it? Fastest lap of the race by the smallest of fractions. The driver in second place, Darrell O'Young. That means he's fighting back. Oh dear, a spinner. Unfortunately, the 888 Mercedes, that's Jeffrey Ibrahim at the final corner. I said it's tight, and there you can see all the GT4 runners. They're being led in class. No surprise there by Takayuki Kinoshita. Everyone close in behind, but for Jeffrey Ibrahim, he's got to go from the very back of the field in the 888 Mercedes. Well, at least he's not going to have traffic for a bit. He'll get past those GT4 runners, set off after the rest. There are the GT4 runners, and here comes the mighty 888 Mercedes. Lights flashing, going through the kink at turn 2. He'll pass probably 1 or 2 of them. Yeah, he's starting to pass the end of that train into turn 3. There's the McLaren going so well. It's let me see, it started in 9th place, it's down to 10th. It's actually working its way back up the order. The 911, Tanat Sathan Thirikul, great start, but really diligent. I'm now joined hot foot from the grid by Claire Jedrek. And Claire, it was very tough indeed, down hot on the grid, clearly, but really feisty stuff into turn 1.
Well, absolutely, it is blisteringly hot, and we don't actually see any rain, which was supposed to come on through. I actually missed the beginning of the start. Tanat's obviously fabulous start there. Pouncing on Darrell Young, Yembo and Descombs. But yeah, this looks like everything that I see out on circuit. It's really starting to spread out with your front runners in the mid-pack.
Yeah, I think we were surprised. I mean, for Darrell O'Young, lightning didn't strike twice. Astonishing off the grid at the start of the race in Sepang. Not bad today, but he looks like he's done just enough up into turn 3. But now we're getting these fabulous gadgets of car getting really close. And the important one in some ways is the number 88, another of the Craft Bamboo Racing Mercedes, because it started down the order, and at the moment it's just with Jeffrey Lee not advancing too much, but we know that was good enough to take pole for the second of the races by a large margin. So he's down in 17th position overall. And that's not really helping. He's lost 4 places, but once we get Alessio Picariello, who this morning in qualifying was astonishingly fast, of course in the second half of the race, this will be one of the first cars to pit, we will see that really starting to make jumps up the order. But the key right now for Jeffrey Lee, don't lose any more positions. But he's got company. He's got the Modena Motorsports Ferrari of John Shen tucked in behind, so plenty to keep him on his toes.
And I mentioned just now, Young does have his work cut out for him. He has a 5-second penalty, of course, a little bit later on. He's got to make some position for his teammate Christina a little later to carry on a circuit that she is new to. Of course, she is in Asia, and like you said, for the last 2 weeks, she's had a very busy schedule. As we see there on the screens, car number 61 looks like the McLaren.
That's Pitty Birnbachtin. He's gone round at turn 5. In fact, he's now managed to hook a gear, but by this stage, he's got the GT4 runners upon him. In fact, he's slotted in about 2 or 3 seconds behind the recovering Jeffrey Ibrahim, so they're completely out of the running. And here Claire, you can go over the curbs, can go over the white line. You'd be penalised if you do that a lot, but at turn 5, lots of space, but it is a corner a lot of drivers go for spins at.
Well, we did notice as well that the Mercedes cars were running very wide, especially in the second sector. And this sector's here in the second sector, it's about rhythm, this circuit. Once you lose the rhythm, you lose that feel for connecting the dots. So it's very important for these drivers to keep it on the circuit and not get stuck in that gravel. If not, it's game over.
Now, as we can see, we've got great bunches of cars. Wonderful battle. The battle for the lead is... well, it's really being joined. We had the breakaway. We'll come on to the pit stop penalties. We mentioned 5 seconds. Oh, actually, let's do it now. The car in second place, Darrell O'Young, you spoke to him on the grid. He's got 5 seconds penalty for finishing 3rd in the last race. Car 911 is leading the race. That needs to escape because that was the winner of the second race at Sepang. That's got 15 seconds extra at a standstill during the pit stop, and the car that came second has got 10 seconds of penalty. That's the number 918 Porsche, which is running Fuvasak is at the tail of the field. Now, where did he go round? He's obviously had a moment that I didn't manage to pick up it through Fuvasak. Anyhow, we'll get on to that, but he's got a mountain to climb. So certainly for the car in the lead of the race, the car in second in the race, when they get to the pit stops, if it stays this close, they'll be way down the order when they you have to be 90 seconds from pit in to pit out. But they've got extra time at a standstill, so they are desperate to eat their way clear. So in the lead, we've got Tanat, Safi and Thirikul, but not by a lot, by 0.85 of a second. There is the 911 in the lead of the race. 99 giving chase, but now Darrell O'Young in that white, green and grey Mercedes has got plenty of company because Wan Bo is right on his tail in the number 912 Porsche. So it looked so the first two had escaped, didn't have to worry, they could just pull each other clear of the rest. Not the case anymore, because the second of the Absolute Racing Porsches is on a flyer with Wan Bo. I just want to do a little bit of housekeeping. The Pro-Am leader at the moment is still Philippe Descamps. He fell from second at the start to fourth, but he's not being disgraced. He's hanging on in that class. Leader in the AM class this weekend in 12th place overall, having a blinding race, is Daniel Bilski in the Be Quick Racing Audi. And here's the GT4 battle. Takayuki Kinoshita, no stranger to the lead in the class. He's eking his way clear, but Brian Lee in the number 11, that metallic blue Mercedes, keeping him in sight gradually. Let's see their lap times last time round. The difference between them was half a second, and I suppose they've completed 5 flying laps, so it's hardly surprising. Half a second, yeah, that is roughly 2.5 seconds between them. Looks like in behind Frank Yu is being challenged in the Craft Bamboo Racing GT4 Mercedes, because here comes Angelo Negro with the yellow bonnet on his Mercedes as he tries to make a move, and doesn't just try it, does it, but around the outside. Frank Yu hangs on, but is he going to be in the right position for the next corner? The next corner is turn 4, left-hander, so he's on the right position on the track, and Negro tucks in behind and will have to try and find his place, but he's certainly pushing. I'm not sure turn 4 is the place to go up the inside, though.
I was just about to say that. I think perhaps a little bit itchy on the steering wheel there. He could have waited just a little bit longer and kept the lines there. As we see the car actually, the front end was actually twitching there. So maybe he'd lost and he's on the edge of the grip there. But he's actually lost a little bit pace now. He's got to catch back up to that front runner there.
Yeah, and every time you get a driver just putting a little bit too much heat in the front end of the car. Here's the 918 Porsche. Still can't work out exactly what happened, why it fell to the back of the field. So 3 of the cars that should be up the front end are at the back, and the 918, oh dear, you really, really feel for Vuticorn. He wanted a good result on home ground. Vuticorn in through Fuvasak. Talked to you yesterday, and you know, plenty of ambition, showed brilliant form in the opening round. Lights ablaze. It's damage recovery for him. He's last the GT3 runners. He's running behind the second place car in GT4. Brian Lee going through the final corner, and it will pose no problem at all. Then he'll just have to pick off the GT4 class leader. And here are 2 other cars that have had their spins, 888 and 61. You can see the McLaren's got more pace, trying to go around the outside of Jeffrey Ibrahim, and that shouldn't be too much of a problem, except not quite the grip he wanted around the outside at turn 3 there for the McLaren racer.
Well, I'm sure that Jafar will pick up the pieces a little bit later on there for Ibrahim, as you said, as we saw that he was very strong on this circuit for qualifying 2, Jasmine Jafar. So we've got some work cut out there. But having said that, good job by Ibrahim. First time out on this circuit.
Yeah, he's going to be learning as he goes. Sepang will be a track he had half a bit of knowledge at, but he really impressed last time around. But this McLaren knew this weekend they had a sort of standing car in between for the opening round. But for Piti Virambakti, he'll be livid about the spin at turn 5. I didn't see if he was pushed, but what we saw was him recovering. It took him an age to get it into gear. Clearly the quicker of those 2 GT3 runners, and making his move. And now Darrell O'Young, let's have a look. He's now starting to fall off the tail of Tanat Safi and Thirikul. He's got 5 seconds extra at the pit stop, but it's 15 seconds for the race leader. He's got to escape. Jan Bo now got company, but not Philippe Descamps anymore. It's Roloff Bruins, who has moved up into 4th place on this lap. This happened very early in the lap, because that group of cars has gone out of turn 6 into turn 7. This circuit looks fairly flat, Claire, but there are gentle gradients, and out of turn 7 there's a little crest, and you drop down to turn 8, drop down a little bit more to turn 9. And they're all subtle. They don't always get picked up by TV, but a little bit of flow. You've run this circuit, I understand.
I actually have 2 years ago. What was I thinking in that heat? Things are a bit different right now, but I have to say, I thought the Ferraris would do a little bit better on this circuit, having the long straights.
I've got an answer. There was no spin for 918 pit stop, and unfortunately, that wasn't penalty enough. Under investigation for less than prescribed pit stop time. To explain, if you have a standard pit stop during the pit stop window, it must take 90 seconds and longer, or longer. Out of the pit stop window, like this, if you come in for a puncture, it's 65 seconds from pit in to pit out. You might have done the work, got the car going, but you have to make sure your driver doesn't go so soon he goes under that time. Not saying 918 has, but it's under investigation. Come what may though, he's in 24th position, so I'm afraid for Interfuvasak, he's not going to lose a super top result, I wouldn't suggest. So let's just run you down the order. At the moment, it's Tanat, Safi and Thirical. Oh Young. Gosh, the little battle. Sorry, I just want to interrupt myself, because the battle between Jeffrey Ibrahim and the McLaren has been raging, and I thought we'd have the McLaren go past. And I tell you what, it's going to be a three-way battle for the cars coming from the tail of the field, because Biram Bakhti and Ibrahim are around to be caught by Interfuvasak. Oh no, he's at half the start-finish straight behind them, but his rate of gain is huge. But this battle between the 888 Mercedes and the McLaren, I thought the McLaren, well, it caught up, and I thought it'd go past, because Prince Abdul Rahman Ibrahim, to give him his Royal Highness's full name, is made of stern stuff. The McLaren was quick, and certainly in the hands of its regular pilot, who's been Piti Biram Bakhti. We were seeing great speed out of the car, but very, very dogged defence. Yes, they're fighting over 21st and 22nd position, but it clearly matters. So for Piti Biram Bakhti in the gorgeous orange McLaren with those day-glow yellow stripes and flashes around it, he's going to have to work even harder. Leclerc, for Jeffrey Ibrahim, he has to learn racecraft, and he's doing so right now. The first race in Sepang didn't put a wrong slight slip-up, but hardly surprising in the second race. But he's really having a fabulous sort of induction in GT3 racing.
Absolutely, this is going to be very, very important for him, and he is learning his racecraft. Like we see out on the circuit, we've got a beautiful view here of seeing these guys and their racecraft. As he moves his way up the grid line, he's going to find himself having to practice that a little bit more.
Right, we have an answer. They're quick in the steward's office. We talked of potential pit stop minimum time transgression. It's been approved that he's got a 6-second stop and go penalty. So now just have a look at this replay. This is getting quite feisty between the 27 Hub Auto Corsa Ferrari Yuya Sakamoto going up the inside of Wear and Tan, giving him a whack at turn 3, and tucked in behind Wei-An Chen, seeing what he can do about it. But some really tough racing, and now we've had a bit of a change of position, because Rudolf Bruins, 5th place wasn't good enough for him, 4th place wasn't good enough, he's gone into 3rd, now he's all over the tail of Darrell Young. So the Solite Indigo Racing Mercedes, not the bright colourful one, the dark one on the just behind the graphic on the left of the screen with a white flash over the roof, is making massive ground, and now they're among the GT4 runners. Brian Lee's lost position to Frank Hugh. They're on the outside of the circuit. They've got the smaller wings on those Mercedes. You can see the GT3 ones with the much larger wings. And Darrell Young has got more company than he'd possibly like. Tucked in behind the 97 of Roloff Bruins. Then Yuan Bo back into 4th. Philippe Descombe not exactly dropping off their tail behind either. So that's 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. And then you have to have a whole second before you get the breathing space for that number 12 Audi, the one we saw being clonked last time around. Wear on Tan, though, holding on to 6th place. Now, it might be easy to say that the Porsche seems to be the car to have, but the fact that we've got Roloff Bruins coming faster in his Mercedes, so Mercedes 2nd and 3rd, but certainly Tanat, Safi and Thirical pulling clear. You can see in that shot quite a way clear. How clear on the start-finish line? 4.5 seconds. And then the GT4 class leader on his own now, but he's got a whole gaggle. 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, trying to go through him, past him, over him, under him as they get to turn 5 and 6. And the Japanese driver very wisely keeps out of the way, goes to driver's right to the edge of the circuit, but he might as well stay tight to the right. He's got 3 more GT3 runners coming through. There he goes, the BMW going to the outside. 3 more cars, including that Hub Auto Corsa Ferrari, whizzing past him out of turn 7. So when you're in a GT4 car, you've got to be right on your toes, haven't you?
The circuit here certainly has brought the racing a lot closer together than some of the other circuits that we have seen, especially with the positions from 4 onwards to mid-pack.
And then weirdly, just among all that, maybe just found a tiny bit of breathing space. Fastest lap of the race set by the driver of car 999, the sort of gold and green and yellow Audi in 7th place overall. Wei An Chen, fastest lap of the race set a couple of laps ago, in fact about 5 laps ago. But now he's in traffic, so don't expect glory. He's just at the back of that little group of cars. So now race leader Tanat Safi and Thirical running pretty. Now the 75 Ferrari, haven't seen so much of that. And with Rees just at tail of the top 10, David Chipto Biantoro. That's the T2 Motorsports car. He's 5 seconds down on Alex Au, but in turn 7.5 seconds clear of the GT AM leader, which is Dan Bilski. I just want to say, we've got Roloff Bruins going faster and faster, challenging right at the sharp end of the field. Really stepped up this year. And likewise, Dan Bilski new to the championship and really making giant strides. GT just cut over you there. GT4 class leader Takayuki Kinoshita. How far clear of the best of the rest, Frank Yu? He's only 3.3 seconds clear, but for the last few laps ago, he's had the buffer of those GT3 runners coming past, but because he had to keep out of the way, he's lost a lot of the advantage he was building up. But then it can ebb and flow. That's always the case in traffic. When you're running a GT4 class car, you know you're going to be looking in the mirrors. But there is the GT4 class leader, Frank Yu in the background, second in class. He's got the T2 Motorsport Ferrari coming up on him. That will go past, but that is first and second in GT4. A battle within a battle.
Yes, can bet you $1 though Santoso will be hot on the heels. Chasing as he can, as we see Lee there. Lee not that far behind from you though, so Frank Yu better watch out. He has to keep it on the grid. But just looking up just now earlier on with the battle for Tsukamoto and Ao, it looked like Tsukamoto was going to make a difference, but now it seems to be there's a 9-second gap. Tsukamoto only 0.4 seconds behind Chen, so he'll have him hot on his heels in the mirror.
So GTM is being led by the BMW. The best of the Mercedes is giving chase. Frank Yu 3 seconds down now. The last 2 laps in traffic have been good. He's got past Brian Lee. Brian's in the metallic blue GTO Racing Mercedes in the background. Not really that far in the background. We're talking a whisker over 1 second. This is the battle, second and third. And don't forget, they get the points for this when they get to the end of the 1 hour, but they will pick up the pit stop penalty bonus for the top 3. Bonus in inverted commas, because it's 15 seconds extra at your next race at the pit stop if you're first, 10 seconds extra if you're second, and 5 if you're third. But right now those thoughts are out of the mind of Takayuki Kinoshita. Here's Dan Bilski. Haven't seen so much of him. The number 26 Audi. This is Be Quick Racing. Now up into 11th overall, going very, very well indeed. Just picks off Brian Lee, but that's the pace of a GT3 Audi over a GT4 Mercedes. No disgrace in being passed by a GT3 runner. Race leader Tanat Sathan Thirical. Don't be put off by the Porsche tucked in second place 918. That's the one that made a pit stop, probably for a puncture. Was too quick in the pits. He's had to serve a stop-go penalty. That is still stone last. Here's second place, the 99 of Daryl Young. Third place, still pushing but not yet passing Roloff Bruins. He's asking the questions. He's not getting the answers he wants. In fourth place, Yuan Bo hanging on to those 2 Mercedes. In fifth place, Philippe Descombe, and certainly Francis Gier will be so excited down in the pits knowing that his car, the Open Road Racing Porsche, is most likely to be handed to him in fifth, because it's 2 and a bit seconds clear of Wei on Tan, the number 12 Audi. There is Wei, and Wei's got Wei An Chen all over his tail. And Yuya Sakamoto was elbowed out of the way, now trying to find his way back. In fact, he was doing the elbowing 3-4 laps ago to the number 12 Audi. So I guess it's only fair he's at the back of that pack. .1 seconds is now the gap between our race leader Tanat Sathan Thirical and Daryl Young's Mercedes. This is the battle on our screen that's so tight for 6th, 7th and 8th. 2 Audis with the Hub Auto Corsa Ferrari, the best of the Ferraris in 8th place, anxious not to stay there. Then a little bit of a gap back to the 666 Lamborghini from Vincenzo Sospiri Racing. Alex out, have a look at the replay. That was a very, very tight indeed. Where wear and tan. He's been used as a braking marker point by several other of the rivals. So the 999 Audi has done it. The number 27 Ferrari has also given him a bit of a clatter, but still in 6th place, hanging on, wear on tan. And now a change for 2nd place because Roelof Bruins somewhere around the track went past Darrell Young. Not just past, he spent about 5 laps trying to shape him up, but he's passed. And how far clear? He's 1.3 seconds ahead of Young. So for our pole sitter, not bad to worse, but good to not quite as good, I think is what we can say at the front of the field. Yellow flag has been superseded at turn 5. I think a lot of warnings on one of our other timing screens for people exceeding track limits. Turn 7 is the famous one at the moment. That's the one during the race they're going for, and a few going off at turn 1, the opening corner of the 12.
So I think as this race now is progressing towards the pit stop where they have to change their tyres, we're going to have to be looking at the tyre situation now, especially since Darrell Young has been having to fight it out. His tyre wear must be pretty high, especially in this heat here right now. The grip is going to be a little less, especially since that weather did not come through.
Yeah, I mean, all the teams, even this morning, all eyes on the skies. A mistake from number 12 and a body blow. Wear on tan went a little bit wide at turn 5 and up the inside, needing no further answering. Yan Chen, the 999 Audi. But yeah, I think you're quite right. Darrell Young there, we see him at. He was first, he was second, he's now third, and really falling back because up ahead of him now, Roelof Bruins has passed and suddenly is. Getting more and more clear, and I think for Darrell Young the pressure from Wan Bo is going to be telling indeed. Pit stop window actually opens in 45 seconds. It opens between 35 minutes to go and 25 minutes to go in this 1 hour race. We might have, if someone reckons their driver is being frustrated in traffic, they might consider early, but for most of the front runners they're going to stay out as long as they can. Certainly for Tanat Sathi and Thirikul in the 911, here he is leading the race, 6.7 seconds clear, but don't forget, just reiterate, he has to be 15 seconds longer at a standstill in his pit stop before Philippe Hamprecht can get going again. 15 seconds at the moment would drop him down to behind Yuya Sakamoto, who is in 8th place overall. So for every lap that Tanat Sathi and Thirikul can do, he needs to escape. A couple of Porsches fighting further down the field, 12 and 13. We've got Chao Li in the number 9-10 and tucked in behind Hiroaki Nagai. ARN Racing for so many years ran Ferraris. They run always in a metallic red, but this year it's Porsche. Porsche, a couple of years ago, almost no representation in the Asian branch of Blancpain, but now coming on absolutely in leap and bounds.
Well, Li Chao there being the AM driver, I have an expectation to see that placing jump up just a little bit with Chris Vanderdrift there. A driver also seen in other series and around the world.
So we're getting the first of the pit stops, and for number 13, one of the two Absolute Racing Audis, it's Sun Jingsu or Jingsu Sun handing over to Frankie Chen Kongfu, a late arrival in the pit stops. Thanks very much. Claire's going for the hot lift of down to the pit lane from our commentary position high above the grandstands. Race leader, she'll go and catch a few of the drivers after the pit stops, and hopefully she'll catch words with the driver of the 911, Tanat Sathi and Thirikul, at his pit stop. Well, when he comes in, it'll be interesting to see how many of his rivals continue right to the end of their stint as he will, because I'm sure Tanat will come in when that clock at the top is saying about 25 and a half minutes. Roelof Bruins 6.4 seconds down. What were their laps last time around? 0.15 of a second in difference in the pace between the race leader Roelof Bruins. Here is the race leader, 911, around the only Cayman in the GT4 class. That's bringing up the rear at the moment. Number 80, Hong Kong Sathin Thirikul, racing for the Thai Enter team, Racing Spirit Team GT4. But at the front in the class, Takayuki Kinoshita. He will hand over to Sunako Chikuchu, but just not yet. Another lap about to go on the board for Kinoshita. The Japanese racer will have 15 laps to his name. In the background, second and third in the GT4 class, Yu and Lee. The gap between them, 1.5 seconds. Last time, has it come down? I think it possibly has a tiny bit. No, stays at 1.5 seconds. So everything that Frank Yu can do, it seems it can be matched by Brian Lee in the metallic blue GTO Racing Mercedes. First, second and third in the GT4 class all in frame there, but importantly for the BMW crew there, 3.5 seconds clear. Tanat Sathienthirakul goes on for one further lap, well, probably a few more than one further lap. That's 17 laps on the board, 6.194 seconds clear. Clear of Roelof Bruins. Darrell O'Young now nearly 3 seconds down on Bruins, so maybe Claire was right. Maybe he had to really work his tyres to hold on to that second place. Now he's back in third, having failed to match the challenge of Bruins. He's got Philippe Descombes less than a second behind. So the pit stops, I'd say probably around half of the GT3 runners, probably the bottom half of the GT3 runners have come in to make their stops. Some have gone back out, including that metallic blue Audi in the middle of the pack there. And that's Frankie Chen Kong Fu in an Absolute Racing Audi, one of the two Absolute Racing Audis, but of course Absolute Racing have now trying their hands with great success. Of course, with their Porsches, they are leading the race. 911 leading, Yuan Bo in 5th place in the second of the Absolute Racing Porsches. Now, Chris van der Drift has taken over from Li Chao in the JRM machine. That started down the order in 17th, got up to 10th, and then gradually slipped back to about 12th place before the pit stops. But certainly Chris van der Drift, the Kiwi racer who's done so much of his racing in Asia, was a superstar at Sepang, particularly when the conditions were really, really tricky when the rain fell. But right now he's got a dry track. Might have expected a wet track. It's been raining here after lunchtime for the last 2 days and in considerable ferocity. Roelof Bruins, 4.1 seconds down on Tanat Sathienthirakul. And his last lap, he took, I think there was traffic involved. Oh, in fact, it was coming into the pits. That's why Sathienthirakul, the gap went from 6 seconds to 4 and a bit. Well, that's about as close to the middle of this 1 hour race as you can get, with 30 minutes and 25 seconds on the clock. So the 911 in from the lead. Don't forget, that'll be 15 seconds extra at the standstill before Philippe Hamprecht can take it over. So having come in from a tidy lead, let's call it 6 seconds. It means Hamprecht is going to have to fight really, really hard indeed to claw back. You know, the 6 seconds they've lost with the 15 seconds extra at a pit stop. So if you think, why are they not letting it go? The driver's in, he's strapped in, he has to be there. So their pit stop will last 105 seconds. Everyone else has to have a pit stop lasting 90, but those with success penalties from the previous race for finishing in the top 3 overall have to serve this extra amount of time in the pit. So GT4 class leader coming in, the team as the 911 goes back into the race from a pretty empty pit lane. In comes the GT4 class leading BMW. The AMAC Motorsport Lamborghini. Lights flashing for one of those behind, but I don't know why 55 is flashing quite as much. Melvin Moe just taking it over. But here, well, let's work out what position this is going to slot back in. Philippe Hamprecht taking over from Tanat Sathienthirakul. It was 6 seconds before the stop. He's come out, well, he's behind the 97 car. How he's only that far behind? I thought he'd be considerably further back. 50, that is remarkable. He was 6 and a bit seconds clear the lap before he came in for the pit stop, the 911. Race leader, that was Tanat Sathienthirakul, 15 seconds extra at a pit stop, and yet he comes out, what are we saying, 1.5 seconds down on the 97 car. But, of course, by making a mistake in my commentary there, I'm going to highlight the fact he's come out immediately behind it, but the 97 is a lap ahead and still has to make a pit stop. So, yes, he hasn't just managed to get away with those 15 seconds extra at a standstill. Claire has run down to the pit lane. Let's find out who she's caught.
Tanat, you look absolutely exhausted. Tell us about the conditions out there and the start of the race.
Yeah, it was really hot, hotter than I expected. And the start, I think I did pretty well. I would take Darrell into the third corner of the circuit, and I just do my best for the whole my stint, basically.
Well, you had about 4 seconds just now of a gap, 4 to 6 seconds, and you've got the penalty to try and make that increment for Philippe.
Yeah, I know that I have the penalty, so I was like pushing every lap to make sure he gained what I could, and then we see.
Thank you very much, Tanak.
Well, what a great drive from a driver who's just getting better and better. And in fact, his car has just reported into the pits. Sorry, his car is back out, but the car that took over the lead, Roloff Bruins, has also come into the pits. Darrell Young is continuing for, well, he's still continuing. Probably next time around be his last chance he can come in before the pit window closes. But what we can see out on the track is 911, Philippe Hamprecht leading the number 12 Audi. Don't forget the number 12 Audi was fighting over 6th position before. That's now in the hands of Martin Rump. Hamprecht and Rump are together on the circuit, and tucked in behind is 918, but don't be confused by that, because Alex Imperatori took over a car that was almost 2 laps down. It had a puncture, came into the pits, was too short a time in the pit lane, and was then called in for a further pit visit. So that's actually visited the pits not once but twice, but 3 times. So 918 out of the reckoning, but in the hands of Alex Imperatori, he'll be as quick as anyone out there. He'll hang with that group. In fact, he's catching right up. 918 tucked in behind the number 12 Audi. And the 911 Porsche hugging the inside line to make sure no one was thinking of challenging. And certainly number 12 is getting very excited indeed. Martin Rump, 3rd year on the Asian circuits in the Blancpain series. And he knows this Audi very, very well indeed. Up the outside into the final corner, gets his nose in front, but it's a corner that keeps on tight and he has to give the position back. 918 hanging around with them, but is down now. Really the interesting thing is Andre Heimgartner joining the championship for 2019 this weekend. He's in the background in the white Ferrari. Oh no, I'm just going to say, here's the open road racing Porsche back onto the track, now in the hands of Francis Cheer. So that good opening stint from running in about 4th and 5th places. But let's go down and hear from Weir on Tan. He had a very busy time out on the circuit in the number 12 Audi. He's with Claire.
Whereon I realised that there was quite a bit of argy-bargy going on, and you were swapping paint out there.
Yeah, I think everyone's struggling at the moment. Just struggling for the lack of grip. Braking, coming out of the corners. I think it's just low grip overall. But it was an okay start. I think the pace was not too bad. But it looks like a very close fight now as well. So let's see where Martin can bring the car home.
Thank you very much.
We're still waiting for Darrell Young to make his pit visit. Just come in. So he's now removed himself from the lead of the race, but it was an artificial lead. So pretty much everyone else has made their pit stops. In fact, pit stop window has pretty much reached its conclusion. So who's going to be in the front of the field looking to try and pick up the race leader? But certainly that 15 seconds for the extra to standstill for the 911 Porsche will have hit it. And hit it hard. So just waiting for the first few cars to come through the final corner. First one of this group across the line will be the race leader. So there we have 911 tucked in behind. Well, it was Martin Rump, but now he's just been passed. Order keeps on.
1-1-1 drive-through penalty for speeding in the pit lane.
Oh dear.
1-1-1 drive-through penalty for speeding in the pit lane.
Just hearing the message that speeding in the pit lane, one of the ultimate no-nos, you have to drop to 60 kilometres per hour. And a drive-through penalty for car 111. So I don't know if it was Setiwan Santoso who kicked it off or Ringo Chong who was taking it over. But drive-through penalty, and that would drop them right to the change. So it was Setiwan Santoso on the way in, desperate to have a quick pit stop, but the penalty is so much greater. The 99 Mercedes back on track, right in front of the 912. So that'll be Christina Nielsen, but she's just trying to get everything up to temperature, and she's been shoved aside. So the 912, John O'Lester, taking no time to make progress. Francis Cheer in the background in the blue Porsche, who's also wanted to pick her off. Andre Couto in the multicoloured, the largely green, yellow and gold Audi in the background of shot. He wants to get past the Danish racer before she gets up to speed. They've got to strike within the next 2 corners if they're hoping to do so. So the 97 Mercedes into the lead of the race. This is Manuel Metzger taking over from Gabriele Piana. This is the car, the Indigo Racing Mercedes, that is now leading the race. We saw in the hands of Roloff Bruins, it's picking its way up the order. No extra time penalties for them. Oh, another penalty just being mentioned in my ear. Car number 13, Frankie Chen Kong Fu, exceeding track limits, or he's the driver at the wheel. But let's go down to the pits, because the driver who hoped to be leading around the end of the lap, the opening lap, is Daryl Young. He wasn't.
With us now, we've got Daryl Young. Daryl, it's a lot hotter than I think a lot of drivers expected out there. How are the conditions, tyre conditions, track conditions?
Yeah, definitely hotter than anything we've seen all weekend. But yeah, this is a disappointing stint for me. I started on pole and lost position on start. And from there, just slowly started losing positions on the way back. So yeah, I struggled a bit in the middle of my stint to the end. So yeah, we're gonna have to work harder on that. But overall, let's see how the race goes. Still a long race ahead, so we'll see how Christina does. So
strategy-wise, it's not going to take too much of a chunk out of that time and penalty.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, with the penalty, there's nothing much we can do. Lost a few more positions for sure. So yeah, we'll fight back tomorrow. We'll give it a go again.
Thank you.
So where is the 99 Mercedes? 6th place overall. But in a lot of traffic, as we can see, Andre Couto was hunting down. But leading the race, having taken over from Roelof Bruins, Manuel Metzger. There he goes, going very, very tidily indeed. 8.5 seconds clear last time around. Will that start coming down as Philipp Hamprecht gives chase in the 911 Porsche? Just at the background of the shot, that car, the 911, you can see it coming over the brow. But for Manuel Metzger, this could be a very impressive event for him. He was the Nürburgring 24-hour winner back in 2016. Doesn't know the Asian circuit. Well, he does actually know the Asian circuits pretty well, but certainly he's in at the deep end. Can he hold on to that lead? But 8.5 seconds, that is a very, very tidy advantage. Last time around, the pace of the car in first, Metzger and Hamprecht in the second place, 911. The difference between their lap times, 3/1000ths of a second in the benefit of the race leader. 9.18, you can see it running behind 9.11, but that's masking its position. It's a full lap down. Alex Imperatori, that car's been into the pits for a puncture repair, then was too quick through the pit lane, and they brought it back in again for a 6-second stop go. Then, of course, the regular pit stop, the change to hand the car over to Imperatori, but he's down 24th and last in the GT3 class, but easily capable of running with the front runners, and this is not helping Martin Rump in that number 12 Audi, stuck in behind Imperatori, no quicker, but they're running different races. In many ways, Imperatori ought to just be flagged out of the way to let number 12, let Martin Rump see what he can do about the 911 Porsche.
1 second stop and go penalty, insufficient mandatory pit stop time.
Oh, the teams really need to be on top of their pit stop times. If they're quicker than 90 seconds from pit in to pit exit, then they'll get time penalties. So a 1 second stop and go penalty for the 55 Mercedes from that's Melvin Moe, who took it over from Daniel Au. So a second too fast, and it costs you way more than that, because in to out on the pit lane is, even without stopping, 24.4 seconds if you put the pit speed limit on. Now in the GT4 class, Sanaka Jakuchu has had problems. He's not leading the class. You know why? You know what the problems were? They had 15-second success penalty. He's just as fast, if not faster, than the trios ahead. But the number 11 Mercedes, there it is leading the class. Second place, Jean-Marc Berlin, and third, having gobbled up those 15 seconds extra in penalty, Sanaka Jakuchu catching up all over again, because top 3 in GT4, like the top 3 overall, get those success penalty extra time at a standstill. Manuel Metzger puts in his fastest lap of the race, so instead of the 911 Porsche closing on the race leading 97 Mercedes, Metzger is showing his mettle and he is pulling away. But don't forget, Philipp Hamprecht has got plenty of company, and that's why he's having to look behind him as well as look ahead. That's probably why he's losing a little bit of ground. He's coming up behind one of the Team iRace.win Mercedes in GT4. In fact, both of them, but he's got company from the 918 Porsche, which is a distraction because that is a lap down off those 2 extra pit visits. A fly in the ointment. But they're running very much a soulless race with no one for company, and delighted of that fact. He's the race leader, Manuel Metzger. Nearly 9 seconds clear last time around. You feel on this lap he's going to gain yet more? Yes, he did. 1/10 of a second gained on the best of the rest on this first sector alone. So in the pits, Roelof Bruins, who likes to race under the moniker of MG Choi this year. See Choi at the top of the door. Will be feeling very, very pleased with life indeed.
1-6 drive-through penalty. Car 1-6 drive-through penalty for exceeding track limits.
Well, more and more drivers being pinged for exceeding track limits. And just want to point out the best result that Roelof Bruins has ever had was in the first of the 2 races at Sepang that kicked off this 2019 season, when he finished second overall as Mercedes filled the top 2 positions. Jeffrey Lee and Alessio Picariello won the race, and sharing that weekend with Gabriele Piana, the 97 Mercedes came home in second. But this time it's looking as though it's going to be 1 step higher for Roelof Bruins. Very, very frustrating for the number 12 Audi, Claire. Out on the track, running 3rd overall, but it's got the 918 Porsche that is a lap down between itself and the 911 that's second in the race. So really, really frustrating for Martin Rump. He's stuck in behind, doesn't have any advantage, can't get past.
And what a race this is really turning out to be. You know, the sense of what's going on down in the pit lane is that the drivers are having a very frustrating time out on circuit, as you saw in the interviews, not just from track conditions but from tyre conditions. And it's a lot hotter, even for the tyre drivers, than they actually expected. So they're all really struggling out there on circuit to not only just find the grip, really just keep it on the circuit.
Yeah, you can see it from our lofty commentary position. Understeer is the order of the days, and you see drivers who would normally be managed to turn into tricky corners like turn 5 just going out wide, and I think that's led to a lot of the little body rubbing we've seen out on the circuit. New improved race pace from the race leader, 9.2 seconds clear. The driver down who's setting the fastest lap by fastest lap is Yasemin Jafar. Don't forget we saw the 888 Mercedes going for a spin, I think it was on the opening lap, down at turn 12, the final corner. Fought its way back, had the great battle with the Absa McLaren. Drivers have changed over, and Yasemin Jafar, well, he's nearly 10 seconds down on Kantasak Kusiri, 13th and 14th, but fastest lap after fastest lap, a second faster than anybody else on the circuit. It's pretty much for nothing, though. Just looking down the timing screens, another driver lapping fast. In fact, the second fastest driver is Kantasak Kusiri, so 13th and 14th, and the driver in 11th is third fastest last time around. That's Chris van der Drift, just outside the top 10, but clearly finding the sweet spot on their tyres at the moment. So 9-11, Tanat Sathin Thirikul handed it over, was 6 and a bit seconds clear before the stop, but 15 seconds extra at a standstill at pit stop has really hurt. However, Philippe Hamprecht, who's taken it over in that 911 Porsche, the 918 tucked in behind with Alex Imperatori at the wheel, is not in the race. He is 23rd overall, a lap down after 2 extra visits to the pits. And in fact, the best thing he could do, to some extent, is actually just get past the 911. It won't have any effect on the outcome, but it means 911, the driver of Philippe Hamprecht, can then concentrate on the number 12 Audi in behind. There, turn 7, you can see yet again drivers running wide. The driver of the number 13 Audi, Frankie Chen Kongfu, he's already been warned for track limits. Car number 16 was the most recent one to be warned, which is Benny Simonsen, taking over the Model Motorsports Porsche.
9-9, stop and 1 second, insufficient mandatory pit stop time. Car 9-9, 1 second, stop and go penalty.
Well, Claire, when you caught up with Darren O'Young, he wasn't a face full of smiles. He was frustrated, couldn't find the grip, wanted to at least hang on to second place, couldn't do that, and now his car 1 second short in the pit stop time. Disaster, because Christina Nielsen at the moment just moved up to 7th place. Lapping so-so pace, in fact being caught by Frederick Schandorf in the 666 Lamborghini, but once she's come to make that 1 second stop and go penalty, she'll be tumbling right down the order. New fastest lap of the race though, Yasemin Jafar. At least he's putting on a show, he's got pride. But our race leader, the 97 Indigo Mercedes, Manuel Metzger, was 8.5 seconds clear, 9.2, 9 point something, now 10.2 seconds clear. Philippe Hamprecht lapping very, very well indeed, but just he should be bringing the gap down, and he's not managing to do so. Here is the fastest driver on the track, and in fact, Claire, at this point in the race, Yasemin Jafar has actually got clear track, which is a bit of a treat around here.
whether it either work for him or work against him. Sometimes having that chase and having that fight in between when you see that car right in front of you actually brings you a little bit closer. It's a bit like a never-ending road, really, especially out here with the heat. And maybe there's a mirage of a car you might think you see out there. But yes, Yasmin Jafar, brilliant job. And I can expect this weekend, it's quite a chop and change Chinese checkers, and it's not going to be quite like what we've seen in Malaysia. There's going to be a lot of different names up there this weekend.
Wow, that is incredible. This is the comparison on the screen, lapping nearly 9/10 of a second faster than the race leader on consecutive laps. Yasmin and Jafar in 14th, but actually both of them running on clear track at the moment. Race leader Manuel Metzger just going through turn 12. You have to turn and look. That's the final corner, just rumbling over to start his 30th lap. We have to wait, and Philip Hamprecht in the 911 Porsche, not yet over the start-finish line. The 97 Mercedes through turn 1 actually came down. Traffic must have slightly favoured 9.4 seconds. So Hamprecht, it's ebbing and flowing, but the general story is that Manuel Metzger, with 11.5 minutes remaining, seems to have this one in the bag. But look on the screen, you just get these gangles of traffic, and they really can shape the whole event. What was
interesting, sorry, to see, so just to interrupt you
No,
there.
I interrupted myself.
Would be quite interesting actually to see where Metzger came in, and just now we saw where Jafar came in, because Metzger has been out there a lot longer, then obviously his tyre pressure would have gone up in this heat quite a lot. And Jafar would only just be peaking right now, so hence these fastest lap times that are coming in.
Yeah, keeps on putting them in there. We actually nearly had, I was suggesting a few laps ago, Claire, that the 918 Porsche was a bit of a fly in the ointment, certainly for Martin Rum. It looks like he's going to dive up the inside in traffic to go past the 911, and then I think could probably pull clear of Philip Hamprecht. But for now, the sort of nightmare for the driver of the number 12 Audi. Look for him in the back of that pack. He's still in behind the 918, yet he's running third, and the 918 Porsche is actually class 23rd. A bit of a, I'm sort of the view that maybe that car should be flagged to let him through, because otherwise it's been a great little battle for second place, but right now it's been completely split by the 918. But until told otherwise, Alex Imperatori will lap at the pace of those two, and to some extent he's protecting the second place on the circuit of the race leader. I think we've had a sprint halfway down at turn 12, lots of shouting outside our commentary position, can't quite see. I think possibly the Porsche might have had a little rotation. The GT4 Porsche that came in. Can't be too sure. So for now, in that protected second place, Philip Hamprecht certainly made a splash in the opening round.
Yes, as we see there, Philip Hamprecht, he has a 10-second difference, so it might be a little bit hard unless something happens to Metzger in that absolute lead that he has over Hamprecht. But I'm very sure that Rump will keep hot on the heels there of Hamprecht. He has lost a 0.1. Not enough to say that he's not going to catch up with him in the next 9 or 8 laps to go.
Yeah, it's really ticked down. These races always run over an hour with the pit stops between 25 and 35 minutes in, and it really does shuffle the order. And Christina Nielsen with that drive-through penalty was, don't forget, this is the car that started on pole. It was handed over in about fourth position, fourth position, and now with that drive-through penalty, Christina rejoined in about 7th place, but they also had the extra 5 seconds to suck up to sit in the pit lane, but now with that extra penalty, she's down in 13th place. Here's the McLaren, looks absolutely fabulous. Number 61, Keita Sawa at the wheel, being pushed very hard by number 17 in 17th place overall, with Naoki Yokomitsu tucked in behind, so racing wherever you look.
I do feel like this is almost like live tweeting with the track limits going on and off our screens.
I can't look at that screen, too much is happening. It'll give me put me into a little bit of a fit. So place change, Naoki Yokomitsu makes his way through the Anstone Racing Mercedes, looking very tidy indeed. I suppose they're two versions of blue, red, orange and yellow, aren't they, those race liveries? The 17 and 61.
Just watching on the screens there with Kuto and Lester, they are quietly creeping up those screens there. We haven't really spoken much about them, but they look like...
I just want to come back to that, because John O'Lester's really made a good fist of it. But we've still got in the lead of the GT4 class Jean-Marc Merlan, but not far behind we've got Sunako Jakutsu. So can the French veteran hang on in there. He's not someone who panics when a storm is approaching. There isn't a storm approaching, ladies and gentlemen. We thought we'd be in it by now, but...
well, it's a storm out on circuit.
It certainly is a storm out on the circuit. We're mixing metaphors, but it just goes to show those extra 15 seconds at a pit stop have really cost BMW Team Studio. They came out in third position in class. They managed to drop the GTO Racing. Mercedes, Tony Fong's 8.5 seconds back off his tail, but the clock is running down, and they're getting off racing line as the Open Road Racing Porsche comes through. You have to let the faster cars come through, but every time Jacuccia gets a little bit closer to Jean-Marc Marlan, Merlin's given, I suppose, a bit of relief, and he can hang on. Can he hang on to the end of the race? I'm beginning to think he could. 7 minutes and under remaining in this race. The M4 is hunting him, but for Jean-Marc Merlin, if he can do that, that will be a real bit of pleasure. And now we have that change of position, finally, still in third place, but running third on the road now, past Alex Imperatori. Didn't see if he was let through, but suddenly Martin Rumpel is all over the tail of the car he wanted to get past when he came out after their pit stops, the number 911. So Philipp Hamprecht won't be looking forward, he's going to be looking backwards. The gap to first to second as a constant will grow and grow. It's now 11.2 seconds. Here is the battle for second and third, but having fallen back behind the Alex Imperatori, he's trying to interrupt them again. He's trying to get past the Estonian. He does out of turn 3, so all the work that poor old Martin Rumpel. But let's talk about Andre Heimgartner. He was some distance behind, and now the Ferrari racer up from New Zealand is right in with this battle. I'm beginning to wonder if Martin Rumpel even knows the Ferrari is in the battle, but what we have is second, third and fourth, but the Porsche in the second in that group, 918, is the interloper. It's a lap down. I'm not sure entirely that Martin Rumpel will go and shake Alex Imperatori by the hand, maybe by the throat after the race.
Yes, a little bit of wrangling. So that has actually panned out quite well for Hamprecht on keeping that distance over there. Really, he should be getting out of the way there and moving off the line, which he has actually tapped him off the line there. Imperatori, if I'm not wrong, and he's fallen back there. So,
well, you could just sense the impatience, having got past close enough to finally challenge 911. Suddenly had the 918 in the mix, and Imperatori, well, he went up the inside and then was pushed off on the outside, and suddenly here comes Andre Heimgartner. Over the years, most accustomed to seeing him racing those big V8 Super Tourers down in New Zealand, his native country, and in Australia, with increasing success, and now he's really, really taking to the battle to see if he can get the final step on the podium. Top Pro-Am runner is in 7th place overall, Frederick Schandorf. Oh, and a car that Andre Couto has just lost that 6th place and limping in. This is a team that can't buy any luck this year. This is the car that caught fire. So Wei and Chen started, was going very well, and limping its way in towards, well, off the edge of the circuit. Oh, cruel luck there for Andre Couto. Just up into 6th place, and now over and out for them, I'm afraid.
Well, that'd be quite interesting to see what actually happened to Couto, because it doesn't look like from here that he has a tyre blown or anything. He just kind of let loose. There's another car out on circuit.
Yeah, well, that's actually Couto.
Oh,
we're just looking at
there.
just out of turn 11, 12-turn circuit. He's off the edge of the track, can do no more. So Manuel Metzger leading by 12.4 seconds, just under 1 second between Philipp Hamprecht and Martin Rumpel. Heimgartner in the Ferrari getting closer and closer in behind. He's just another 0.4 of a second down. John O'Lester 5th, and Frederick Schandorf now up to 6th place, the demise of Andre Couto. Jean-Marc Merlin, what's his advantage in the GT4 class? Hanging on now, just 2.5 seconds clear. Here he is, the number 77. Mercedes. Christina Nilsson is flashing her lights. She too races for Craft Bamboo Racing. She's now in 12th place.
Well, whatever it is with Nelson, she definitely has very good peers to learn off right now. As we go back there to Jean Merlin.
We know overtaking at turn 11. It's not really a passing place, but until they can move Andre Couto's car off the side of the circuit at the exit, still overtaking going on down there. And that looks as though Jasmine Jafar just picked off Christina Nilsson. Yes, the 888 Mercedes has gone on through. So the Malaysian driver going past the Dane. You really do think, if we've seen from Jasmine, great pace on his home circuit at Sepang, and again here took over the KFC livery car, way down the order, and has made very good progress. Now he's got clear track, but look at the clock, under 3 minutes remaining in this race, so I don't think he's going to go any higher down at 12th place. He's going to find 5 seconds on Kansatak Kusiri. That ain't going to happen. But this is one of the best battles. This is the battle for the GT4 honours. It's still Jean-Marc Merlin, 2.5 seconds, almost identical lap times last time around. And that's not good news if you're a fan of the BMW Team Studi team. They need to be taking great chunks of time out of the Craft Bamboo GT4 leading Mercedes.
Back up to the front of the pack there, we see the 911 Humprecht, and just very close behind Rump and Heimgartner. So is this the battle for second for Humprecht, or could he be back into third and fourth, or it could be the other way around? Rump, it could be for second, or it could be for fourth position.
Yeah, what we need, there's no traffic particularly in front of them, and for Heimgartner, as they were all fighting with the 918, a lap down, but in the mix, he was able to get on their tail. I don't know that he's actually got the pace even to stay with them. There's the 918, a lap down in the background, and the yellow, just seeing where Henk Kicks is. He's no longer, he took over the class lead from Bilski, his teammate, but can't keep the AM honours at the moment. It's now in the hands of Vatana Motorsports, the Thai team heading for AM victory. Now, lights ablaze from Martin Rump. Is he in front? Yes, he is. Is he on the outside? Yes, he is. So he will not be able to take that second place. He'll give it his all. Whereas Andre Heimgartner took the tighter line through turn 3. Now trying to get a bit of a slipstream up the gentle rise towards turn 4. Turn 4 is the passing place, but if he can put the pressure on Humprecht, maybe Rump can make him go a little bit wide into turn 4. Oh, Humprecht's too good for that. Keeps it beautifully on the track, so there's going to be no possible passing manoeuvre into turn number 5. The Ferrari getting closer and closer in behind, as I think the Estonian probably is just a sea of turmoil and fury in his car. It's been very frustrating. A minute to go, and you have to say with 11.5 seconds clear, we know the identity of the winner unless disaster befalls Manuel Metzger. So for Erlof Bruins, he'll be hopping from foot to foot in the pit lane. He's took a second place, his best result by far when we kicked off the championship at Sepang, but he could be standing on the top step here at Buriram and waiting for accelerating over the start finish line. Starting what will be his final lap goes Manuel Metzger. Oh, Rump may not even finish in third place, going through the final corner, starting their final lap. The Hub Auto Corsa Ferrari can't get any closer without getting alongside and getting past. You're not going to do it into turn 1. Final lap of the race. Manuel Metzger, he backed off on that lap. 10 seconds, a mere 10 seconds, I ask you. Clear at the front of the field for Indigo Racing. It will be a nervous last lap, but they've just got to keep their cool because that's what their driver's doing. Manuel Metzger heading for a tip-top result, but second place. Looks though it's now safe in the hands of Philipp Humprecht. Martin Rump had hoped to get it. His hope now is to keep Andre Heimgartner behind him. Now, Indigo Racing came good towards the end of last season. This could be their 4th podium position in their last 5 races in this championship, but most importantly it will be their first win. Manuel Metzger will know full well the pressure that he has of not fluffing it around this final lap, but as the field goes through the middle part of the circuit for Manuel Metzger, he is nearly back at the end of the circuit. He's got 2 more corners to go, goes past the back marker through turn 10. There he is, past Andre Couteau's car right now on the exit of turn 11, down to the final corner, and it's looking a very good result. It's going to turn into the first win for Indigo Racing. For Erlof Bruins and Manuel Metzger, Claire's going to race downstairs to catch them in Park Fermo. We know the identity of the winner. Who's going to come home in second place? It is going to be the 911 crew. Don't forget they sucked up 15 seconds of penalty. They're in second. Third place, the best Audi, Martin Rump, right in behind the Ferrari of Heimgartner. John O'Lester should cross the line any second now in 5th place overall. The number 13 Audi didn't make it to the end of the race. That's pulled off at the side of the circuit. That will tumble down the order. But to Erlof Bruins and Manuel Metzger, what a fantastic result for Indigo Racing and for Mercedes. They can now breathe that sigh of relief when you're delivering at the sharp end. You just cross everything, hoping you can take victory. And for the 97 crew, off the circuit in celebration, getting a bit of pickup onto his tyres. In the race you get pinged for going off, but after the race it doesn't matter. And for Manuel Metzger, he'll be hot in the cockpit but delighted with the action there. And the top Pro-Am runner was the 666 Vincenzo Sospiri Racing Lamborghini, and Frederick Schandorf 6th overall, top Pro-Am finisher. What a race it's been, but I think it's a case of hats off to today's winners. Can they do it tomorrow? But today belongs to Manuel Metzger and Roloff Bruins. So, action-packed racing, and I haven't told you who won the GT4 class. Jean-Marc Merlin held on by 2.6 seconds, so 24th and 25th. That's where you'd expect to find them, barring disasters for the others and the GT4 runners. In this case, it's Jean-Marc Merlin, ahead of Sonako Jukuchu. So it's Mercedes taking overall win, Mercedes taking victory in GT4. And for all the drivers still coming in, a chance to maybe drop a window, get some air into the cockpits. It's very hot here, as you'd expect this time of year in Thailand. But that matters not if you're bringing the winning car home. So there is Jean-Marc Merlin, victor in GT4. Job well done. Plenty of pressure from Sonako Jukuchu. You can just see the BMW following him home. But Ford all the way to the finish. Fastest lap of the race, set by Jassim Jafar. He set quite a few, and his final one was on the last lap. He got to within 2 seconds of Kantasak Kusiri. But unfortunately, with the spin early on, only 12th place for him today. So there is Solite sponsored Indigo Racing Mercedes, the winner, bringing it home. So let's take a look at the results. A lot happened out there, but when they were declared after 37 laps, 1 hour of racing, Manuel Metzger finishing off a brilliant opening stage of the race by Roloff Bruins. Stayed out late pit stop before handing over to the German racer, and Manuel brought it home. 9.039 seconds clear. But the battle behind was absolutely fearsome between Philipp Hampracht, Martin Rump, and Andre Heimgartner, who caught up in the Ferrari. 3 of them finishing very close indeed. John O'Lester, best of the rest, back, another 10 seconds back in his Porsche in 5th overall. Frederick Schandorf, top runner in the Pro-Am class, in 6th place overall. Top runner in the Am class, let's just scroll down. It was Vitana Motorsport on their debut in this year's championship. So they took the Am honours, but drivers now all starting to assemble down in a wonderful formation on the starting grid, the podium. There they are, nose to the barrier, nose to the grass, to the barrier, facing where the podium is. Giant grandstand in the background, waiting for that to be absolutely rammed tomorrow. But here is MG Choi, as he now races as. And the crew really happy indeed, waiting for Manuel Metzger to hop out. There's Manuel. Yeah, very happy indeed. Smiles all around. MG just delighted. And for that team, been getting better and better and better. And now their first win. Will it be their last? Well, tomorrow, don't forget, they will have the 15 seconds extra during their pit stop. It's very hard to fight your way back from that. But today, they did a great job, but the team that started with the extra 15 seconds at a standstill, I think they need a massive pat on the back. Tanat Sathian Thirikul and Philipp Hamprecht, they were winners of one of the 2 races. The second race at Sepang, that's why I had the 15 seconds extra, and they swallowed up so much that they were good enough to finish 2nd overall. Martin Rump just couldn't overhaul them, really pushing on very hard indeed in his Audi, so he completed the podium. But let's go down with the winners. Claire is with them down in Parc Fermé.
And we have got the winners here, car 97, Metzger and Choi. What a fantastic win. Look at that smile on your face.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Ricciardo did a great job. First stint, went from P7 to P2, had an amazing pace, and I had a gap of I think 8 seconds when I left the pits, and the car was just great to drive, very consistent. Big thank you to the team. Big thanks for Ricciardo. What a day.
Ricciardo, what an amazing job setting him up for that.
Yeah, I mean, especially after the struggle in qualifying, this result is fantastic. First win for the team, first overall. I mean, can't be more happy.
Congratulations, guys.
Thank you very much. You can just sense the feeling of satisfaction. You can be close, but when you actually nail it, they can't take that away from you. So for Roloff Bruins and for Manuel Metzger, there we are. Victory confirmed. 9 seconds clear of Tanat Sathian Thirikul and Philipp Hamprecht, who really did an astonishingly good performance to suck up the 15 seconds extra in their pit stop. Wear and Tan and Martin Rump, they were in the wars, but they were right at the sharp end of the field. 3rd place for them. 2.5 clear of Andre Heimgartner. Best of the Ferraris in 4th place overall, with Yuya Sakamoto having a really good run in the first half of the race. Credit too to Alex Au and Frederick Schandorf taking victory in the Pro-Am class in 6th place overall. And a really good run. Best of the Lamborghinis by some margin in the race. So they were 6th. And 5 seconds or so clear of the T2 Motorsports Ferrari. The JRM Porsche up and down the order, but in the end 8th. Open road Porsche started from the outside of the front row, but still a great result for 9th for them, with Philippe Descombe making quite a splash. And ARN Racing, new to Porsche this year, completing the top 10. So plenty of racing wherever you looked out on the circuit. Several fallers in the early laps, but among the 3 GT3 runners who fell down to the tail of the field, I think special credit to Jasm and Jafar in the 888 Mercedes. Made it back to 12th overall, fell to 30th, up to 12th, fastest lap of the race after fastest lap of the race. And so some satisfaction after the disappointment of that rotation very early on. And in GT4, worth just reiterating, 24th, 25th and 26th were finishing positions, but 1st, 2nd and 3rd in class. The Craft Bamboo Racing Mercedes with Jean Marlin just really holding on very well to resist Sunako Jakuchu. And Tony Fong falling away slightly to finish 3rd in class, but for GTO Racing it was another top result. But all honours today goes to the Indigo Racing team, the Mercedes crew of Roloff Bruins, who races this year as MG Choi, and brought in this weekend because Gabriele Piana was busy elsewhere. He'll be regretting it because his replacement, Manuel Metzger, has been a very, very good stand-in indeed and has taken the top step of the podium, the first one for the team. Will it be the last? But tomorrow, don't forget, the race is earlier in the day, but they will be starting with 15 seconds extra in their pit stop. So that may make it a mountain too high for them to climb, but their confidence will be absolutely soaring after today's run. The rain was promised. We didn't want it, but we knew it was coming. Yesterday was wet. The day before was even wetter. But today, all signs was it was on its way, but it stayed away, and we'll take that. We didn't need wet track to make the racing excitement. It had its own form today. Plenty of overtaking from start to finish. Some tip-top drives. So many, actually, it's quite hard to pick them all out because a lot of the drivers, you have a faster driver taking the second leg, working their way up the order. Chris van der Drift, another good drive from him, but he'll be starting the 910 Porsche from tomorrow, and it'll be his turn to see how far he can propel that up the order. But let's go to the podium.
GT World Challenge Asia at Chang International Circuit. We will start this ceremony with the overall winners. We welcome with applause in 3rd position, car number 12, Wei Rontan and Martin Rump. In 2nd position, we have car 911, Tanner Sathanurakul and Philip Humprecht. And in 1st position, car number 97, Roloff Bruins, Emmanuel Metzger.
So here comes the smiliest face of all, because for MG Choi and his stand-in teammate this weekend, maybe he'll want to keep him because Manuel Metzger, great job up onto the top step of the podium. Silver Cruz in the top 5 positions. So the man who makes it all happen, Benjamin Franisovici, hands out the podium trophies. And the biggest ones of all go to our race-winning duo. The taller figure of Manuel Metzger and MG Choi. Trophies aloft. And there's a bit the teams like in particular. They get checks as well. Those should be coming out too. But for Roloff Bruins, MG Choi, as we now call him, and Manuel Metzger, a first victory for the team on the top step of the podium. They're becoming podium veterans, but they know full well the top step is the best one, so they'll know how to fire the champagne. People keep out of the way. It's hot enough and sticky enough down there without the spray in your face, down your shirt. But joy unbounded for Manuel Metzger, and certainly the satisfaction for MG Choi there. The figure in the glasses now standing up. They have to go back to have the group photograph, but for all these drivers, they know they've got to do it all over again tomorrow, where the driver who started first today will take the second leg of the race, which gives a real twist, which is why we really love this racing action in Blancpain GT World Challenge Asia. That's our first 3 races down. We've got 1 more tomorrow morning, and then 4 more rounds through the course of the year, ending in Shanghai. But honours today to MG Choi and Manuel Metzger. until the podium finishes. So have some biscuits. So there we saw the overall podium. We're going to have the Pro-Am podium, the Am podium, and the GT4 podiums to follow this. Winning car just being pushed off. There it is, the Solite liveried Indigo Racing Mercedes. In behind you can see the GT4.
Now we have the GT3 Pro-Am class ceremony. We welcome with applause. In third position, car 910, Li Chao and Chris Vanderdrift. In second position, car number 75, David Tipto Bientoro and Rio Haryanto. And in first position, car 666, Alex Au and Frederick Schandorf.
So the big announcement for the top three in increasing crescendo. Alex Au and Frederick Schandorf coming out onto the podium. This is the Pro-Am podium. So again, trophies for them, and there will be a clock for the winning team. Pro-Am runners. These the Lamborghini crew from Vincenzo Sospiri Racing on the top step, 6th overall. The Ferrari crew of Rio Haryanto and David Chipto Biantoro, the 75 crew there on the left of the podium. They were 7th overall and 8th overall. Chris Vanderdrift was closing in at the end, but the clock ran down on him and his teammate in the 910 JRM Porsche, Li Chao. So 6th, 7th and 8th overall for our Pro-Am runners, getting right in on the mix. Just missing out on the Pro-Am podium was the crew that started top in the Pro-Am class. Francis Gia and Philippe Descombe. Champagne time for the Pro-Am runners. Celebratory music fires out, but again, great mix. Lamborghini, Ferrari and Porsche, showing how the balance of performance run by the SRO and its championships really does work. It mixes the manufacturers around, keeps the interest burning brightly. And just to point out, the top three finishers overall, Mercedes, Porsche, Audi, and you get down to the Pro-Am class, and it's Lamborghini, Ferrari, and Porsche. So plenty of manufacturers mixed in there.
We welcome with applause. In
And now
third position,
the Am podium.
26, Hank Hicks and Daniel Bilski. In second position, car 51, Andrew McPherson and Ben Porter. And in first position, car 128, Tronsawat Asavaham, Ikuhiro Asai.
So huge smiles all round. Vatana Motorsport joining for their home event, and Chansawa Asavaham and Akihiko Asai doing the honours. So the 128 Lamborghini crew, the car looked so it was just coming out for practice, was remarkably unliveried in comparison to those who kicked off in Sepang, but really delivering very well indeed. And at the end, victory by, let's do the maths, 12 seconds, a dozen seconds ahead of the AMAC Motorsport Lamborghini crew. Andrew McPherson on the left and Ben Porter. And then news the championship this year. Be Quick Racing,
and
number 12 Audi crew.
Time!
And they might be getting used to champagne. Dan Bilski and Henk Kicks. They're on the right-hand side of the podium. So Lamborghini and Audi. And Be Quick Racing have now just been banned from the championship because Benjamin Franasovici has been given a big spray. He's supposed to hand out the trophies, not be given a wash. But again, just showing the pleasure of being up there, and that is why GT racing should always be about pros, pro-ams and ams. The mixture is a great mixture.
Okay, now we have the GT4 ceremony, and we welcome with applause. In third position, car number 11, Brian Lee and Tony Fong.
So the drivers coming up for the
second
GT4
position,
podium.
car 81, Takayuki Kinoshita and Sonako Jukuchao. And in first position, car 77, Frank Yu and Jean-Marc Mullen.
So today's winners in GT4, it is not BMW Team Studio. It's Craft Bamboo Racing. Jean-Marc Marlin, who fought so hard in the end to keep Sunako Jakucha behind him. Takayuki Kinoshita, who gave the lead to the BMW crew, but wasn't to be today because great finish. Jean-Marc Marlin and Frank Yu up on the top step of the podium. All smiles, all trophies. There come the checks, the sweeteners. Success. Financial reward as well, but really the satisfaction, particularly for Jean-Marc Marlin. He knew he was being hunted down, worked the traffic really well. Not an easy thing to do when you're one of 6 GT4 runners among 24 GT3s. The GT3 so much faster, kept out of the way when they came through, and picked his way very gingerly to get the car not too far off the track. And certainly the BMW sometimes was a little bit wider, letting the others coming through, and that cost it. But Jean-Marc Marlin really, really dogged today. And GT4 victory for Craft Bamboo Racing and Mercedes. So celebrations, 4 podiums completed, the champagne sprayed today. Will the same sets of crews, these 12 crews, be spraying the champagne again tomorrow? We'll find out. The race earlier start, 11:45 tomorrow. But let's take a look back at the start of the race. Starting from pole position was the 99 Craft Bamboo Racing Mercedes. Could Darrell Young hold the lead around the opening lap? He was magnificent on the opening lap in Sepang. And today it was looking very good, but the 911 Porsche running wide out of turn 1, fighting very hard indeed. Few cars almost coming to blows on the opening lap of the race. The McLaren was in the wars. Loads of Porsches are coming on stronger and stronger through this championship. That's the Modena Motorsport number 16 version, with one of the Craft Bamboo Racing cars, the 88 Mercedes, tucked in behind. Ben Porter, Andrew McPherson had a good run in the AM class today. Turn 12, such a difficult corner. Fighting at the midfield was every bit as tough as fighting down towards the tail end of the number 59 Audi, making its way up 1 position. 2 spinners early in the race, the 888 Mercedes and the 61 McLaren in a fearsome battle. It looks as though the 61 McLaren was going to pick its way past, but Jeffrey Ibrahim is learning racecraft and kept it behind it for lap after lap. There was a car with a target on it today, the number 12 Absolute Racing Audi. Everyone seemed to have a go at it, but first wear on Tan and then Martin Rump in the wars, and they were very dogged indeed. Another little tap there, that's from Wei An Chen in the 999 Audi. And Darrell Young coming to blows there with Yuan Bo. Things were getting tight around the midfield, and in the second half of the race, Keita Saar was the driver who was trying to make the McLaren sing. It was good to have this new car here, but it wasn't quite at the sharp end of the field. In the GT4 class, Craft Bamboo Racing going better and better through the course of the race. If you look for a battle, second half of the race, it was between the 911 Porsche, Philipp Hamprecht, and Martin Rump, who took over the number 12 Audi. But in the front, Roloff Bruins was really long in his stint, and then he handed over to his new teammate this weekend, to Manuel Metzger. There's the checkered flag. Job done. First win for Indigo Racing. They've been coming on strong, and now they're delivered at the highest level. But second place for Philipp Hamprecht. Great, considering they had a 15-second extra pit stop time because of success penalty from Sepang. Hanging on all the way to the finish, Jean-Marc Marlin, 2.5 seconds clear in the end. He took GT4 victory, and there is Metzger, delighted. So that's it from me. Our race tomorrow, 11:45. Make sure you watch. Thanks for joining us.